Hey, welcome back to the Global Landscapes Forum. I'm Natasha Elkington, and right now my guest is Nancy Githaiga. Welcome.
Thank you.
And she's the Head of Policy and Research at WWF Kenya. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Natasha.
Okay, so to begin with, why don't you tell us how WWF is involved in landscape restoration?
Actually, briefly, we have 3 commitments as WWF globally, and we are talking about WWF in over 100 countries. We have a commitment to halt degradation.
Okay.
Huge commitment. We have a commitment to actually restore 350 million hectares of land by 2030. And we have a commitment that by the same year, at least 50% of forests should be protected, or they should be under better and more improved management. So that is our huge commitment as WWF. Okay. And therefore this forum just sits at the center of the work that we do. Great.
So how do we scale up this landscape restoration so in order for you to meet your targets?
An important question, Natasha, because the issue is actually scaling up. We may have small enterprises going on here and there, but if this is not scaled up, then we shall not hit the target. For Africa, we have the target of 100 hectares actually restored by 2030, which is huge. Therefore, the main question is, how do we scale up? So as WWF and other partners, we've had initiatives which we share and which we've had an opportunity to share here. Some, for instance, working with governments that have made commitments, a government like Madagascar with commitments on how to move this forward. They actually have a strategy. We also are working with the private sector, because this has been a missing link. How does the private sector come into restoration, which is not a 2-day event, a 2-year event, it's long-term planning. So we have examples from Uganda, and we shall be sharing that. Then we also have, we are part of the Trillion Tree campaign, the program, bringing together WWF, WCS, BirdLife International, and of course now at local level bringing together other partners to work on this. So this is in a way in our push to scale up these initiatives. Yeah.
Okay. And how, like for example, how are you going to get the private sector involved? What are some of the ways that that you're planning to get them involved in order to get?
Private sector main agenda, even if they'll have other small agenda, is profit. If there is profit, the private sector will come in. If there is no profit, there is no interest. Right. So then we have to show what is the profit that restoration brings. What is the economic value? Right. What is the social value? And if there is value, then you'll get the private sector to come in. But as I have mentioned, seeing that this is a long-term commitment, it's not a 5-year commitment and you start making returns, then we do need to bring them on board to understand that in the long run, there is actually benefit to restoration, even to their own businesses.
Great. Yeah. And then the AFR 100, you already mentioned that a little bit about planting trees. Do you want to just give us a bit more insight into that?
Actually, the AFR 100 is African governments coming together and committing to restore 100 hectares, 100 million hectares of land for Africa by 2030, in trying to implement the Bond Challenge. So this is how the governments have broken it down, and therefore the government is taking lead in this, but then certainly other partners, other organizations must come to help implement it, because the issue is then how do we implement? We have committed, how do we implement? Yes. So that is a key question, and that's where WWF and other partners come in.
Okay, yeah. Great. And then I understand you have a digital summit coming up with GLF in the coming months. Would you like to tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, in really pushing this, because the discussions have begun, and they began a few years ago, and we are saying the pressure to have these discussions and to share lessons and to share experiences on basically how we are going to scale up is quite important. So after this, in September, on 11th of September, that will be a Tuesday, we are hoping we can bring people together through digital media, so that you do not have to physically travel to some venue the way we have now, and be able to talk more and a little more deeply on how we can scale up this work. So that is the discussion that we shall be having on the 11th, and we have interesting speakers. As I have said, we'll have experiences from Madagascar, from Tanzania, from Kenya, from the Trillion Tree campaign, from government speakers, from the private sector, and we'll have an opportunity to share and delve much deeper probably than what we have had to do today.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Is there anything else that you think that is important, that a message that you need to get out there for anyone who's listening about how to restore our landscapes and how important it is from the WWF perspective?
Actually, maybe 2 messages to the converted, like yourself, hopefully,
Yes.
who already know we need to get this out and we need to scale up. It's important to come and share with us and share your questions and experiences so that we can actually enrich the work that we are doing. And for those that are not converted, to just come and listen and know that it is life. As someone said this morning, nature is not somewhere you visit. Nature is where we live. Therefore, if we are going to restore our landscapes, we are restoring where we live. We are restoring our homes. We are restoring our neighborhoods. And therefore, our call is you join us on that date. It will be 11 a.m. Central Eastern CEST.
Okay.
We are in East African time, so the central summer time is a little different, but it will be 11 a.m. on Tuesday, and we are asking that you join us for that discussion.
And how do people join you?
Actually, below this video, you can actually get the contacts and how to join this. It will be open, so anyone can actually join, but you can also follow us on the GLF website for more details.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you,
Thank
and we
you.
look forward to seeing you.
Okay, thank you.